When did the I crave attention kid go too far? Little brother is a few years younger than me. He used to come into my room to harass me all the time and my parents never allowed me to have a lock. He was around 10 when I started propping a piano stand under my doorknob to keep people out. I'm so sick of people saying it was a fire hazard. You'd use whatever you could do if your parents never knocked, and your brother used to shoot you with their soft guns. Little brother pushed the door and the piano stand was at the knob. I ignored it before all I heard was the loudest bang followed by a thud. I opened the door to see him laying on the floor, holding his face and crying. Apparently, he decided that he could break down my door like in the movies by throwing himself against it after running from down the hall. But this dumbass didn't just throw his shoulder or kick it. He threw his entire body against it like a squirrel going for a tree. Arms and legs out. Face fucking first. I got blamed for it, but it was worth it. Only time I ever laughed that hard at his expense again was when he tried to fart into my room and shat himself about 2 years later.
Ben.
That last part is a very definition of a critical failure. He drank an entire bottle of vodka at lunch and was kicked out of school.
Ben.
An entire bottle? He didn't die first. No. From what I heard he threw up and was taken to the hospital.
Ben.
This happened at my school as well during junior year. The poor kid had to get his stomach pumped because he had gotten alcohol poisoning.
Ben.
I feel like every school had that kid. We had ours in 8th grade who chugged his water bottle of vodka in the bathroom. Years later he died of severe head trauma when he crashed his motorcycle while, from what I heard, trying to adjust his helmet of all things. I don't remember him being a particularly bad sort. R.I.P. Dude.
Ben.
Snuck vodka into state mandated testing in a water bottle. She was sent home drunk off her ass and my entire class was banned from having water bottles in class for the rest of the year.
Ben.
Interstate testing? How stupid can some people be? A teacher friend of mine told me once about a student she had who cut a hole in the pocket of his jeans so he could stick his dick through it, and when the teacher wasn't looking he'd poke it out through the pocket and thrust it towards the girls in class. Finally one day she caught him in the act and he got either suspended or kicked out. IDR.
Ben.
Why? Great question. But I don't think I want to understand his mincetle mayo. Started angrily pumping weights when we were chilling at someone's house. Threatened to shave his head and then tore his shirt off of his body.
Ben.
Did he drink a Monster? And was his name Kyle? A girl once punched herself in the gut at her little brother's b-day party and threw up just so people would notice her. That's commitment. Mama didn't raise no quitter.
Ben.
He was a jerk. I had a couple of pet goats and he would come over and bully them all the time. He'd poke them through the fence with sticks, throw rocks at them, spook them with loud noises, but he'd never go into the pen. He was too scared of them. He should have known better. He was 16. One day we are all inside and we hear this blood-curdling scream. In comes the kid, screaming at the top of his lungs. The goat. The goat is after me. Help. We turn to see the big billy goat staring at him through the sliding glass door. Every once in a while it had headbutt the glass. Now this was a very docile animal. He'd have never hurt a fly, but he was out for that boy's blood. It turns out that the kid had been torturing the goat. He had him pinned up against the wall of the pen throwing rocks and sticks at its testicles to see if he could hit them. The goat came after him, scaled the fence, and chased him across 3 acres of land and into the house. The kid waited for 2 hours for the goat to go away, but it never did. Anytime he opened a door to try to sneak away, the goat was right there trying to attack him. Eventually the goat disappeared and the kid tried to sneak out a window feet first and once again started screaming because the goat was right there headbutting his backside as he climbed out. It was absolutely liberating.
Ben.
There are 3 things all wise men fear: the sea and the storm, a night with no moon, and the wrath of a big goat after you chuck sticks at its testicles. Seriously, why would you even do that? Some kid shat on the fucking toilet seat. A week later he shat in the sink. I don't get why people liked him.
Ben.
As someone that worked as a bathroom janitor, I fucking hate people that do that type of shit. No one that does that cares or thinks about the cleanup.
Ben.
I was at my friend's house. I was bored and started playing Portal 2 on his Xbox. After a while my other friend's sister, who mind you treated attention like a drug, burst into the room and started screaming at me like we were dating and in a fight. My friend was there too and just watched. Every time I would tell her to leave she would get louder.
Ben.
Bitch put powdered laxatives in his friend's drinks. This was in 6th grade. A couple kids put a bunch of crushed up Adderall in a kid's soda at my school. The kid who drank it ended up having a series of seizures and having to spend some time in the hospital.
Ben.
I knew this girl in high school who was the queen of obnoxious and attention-seeking behavior. She was constantly trying to get people's attention. From screaming loudly in the hall to crying hard over sad memes at lunch. She was so annoying. But unfortunately, many people bought and fed into her histrionics. Let's call her Cryface. I never really liked Cryface. She came off as fake and kinda rude. I tried to ignore her for the most part. But the absolute turning point for me was her over-the-top behavior at a choir concert junior year. It was 20 minutes before the concert was set to begin. And all the kids were practicing getting on the risers, about 100 people. Suddenly, Cryface's mom entered the auditorium, briskly walked to the director, and whispered something in his ear. The director nodded, and called Cryface off the riser. When Cryface got down, the mom whispered something to her. All of a sudden, Cryface let out a blood-curdling scream and ran for the auditorium exit. She got halfway before collapsing to the ground wailing. She kept yelling, "Oh my god, oh my god," over and over again. The mom came up behind her, pulled her up by the elbow, and rushed out. Naturally, everyone in the choir thought something horrible had happened. Some friends had texted her, but Cryface would only respond with cryptic messages like nothing will ever be the same, and why couldn't it have been me? Rumor spread that her father and little sister had burned to death in a car wreck. With a reaction like that, what else could it be? People were talking about organizing a carpool to attend the funeral and taking friendship shifts so someone would always be available to comfort her. I even agreed to a couple shifts. Hell, the entire choir said a group prayer for her before the concert, and this was at a public school. We were also worried. Now, these thoughts would have been incredibly kind if that was what happened. But nope. Turns out Cryface's little sister was diagnosed with diabetes. The sister didn't go to the hospital. She didn't get sick and need medical attention. The family had only received a call that the scheduled medical tests came back positive for diabetes. The mom came to tell Cryface because the family had decided to skip the choir concert so they could meet with the doctor and talk about the medical diagnosis. TLDR, girl finds out her little sister has diabetes and might get more attention than her. So girl makes high school choir think her family died in a car wreck.
Ben.
Got him.
Ben.
Some Wolverine wannabe stabbed me with 6 damn pencils. Why is that funny? Like, how is that funny? Or, why is that so damn funny? Yes. He was a massive jerk. One day we had a supply in science, and he got up on the desk, whipped his dick out, and yelled I'm ganned. He then ran out of the classroom. He went to a special needs school 2 months later.
Ben.
That motherfucker